Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about you got the CBCS or the Certified Billing and Coding Specialist certificate from the NHA. Now what? If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys. So, disclaimer first. These are my opinions. They do not reflect the opinions of any association I am talking about today, okay? But I have been a medical coder for the last 15 years. I currently hold two certifications, the CCS, which is the gold standard of medical coding credentials. That is the Certified Coding Specialist. And I have the CCSP, which is the Certified Coding Specialist Physician-based. Both of these credentials are offered with the American Health Information Management Association. Now, I will say this. What I'm talking about today is what a lot of people don't talk about, okay? A lot of times when people are starting to study for medical billing and coding, they get into these fast-paced medical coding programs, or they get into a cheaper program, and they say, well, the CBCS, the Certified Billing and Coding Specialist certificate, is included with their package. They can be certified once they complete the program, and they could be on their way to making all these high, crazy dollars that they try to sell this field with, right? But here's the thing. What they're not telling you, and what you may not have done, is do your research. Now, I will say this. When it comes to the CBCS, people will ask me, do you recommend it? Me personally, no, I do not. The reason that I don't is because when you look at the job listings, you will see that oftentimes when they're looking for medical billers and coders, they are looking for them to be certified through the American Health Information Management Association or the American Academy of Professional Coders. Now hold your fire, because there's a lot of people that always get upset with me every time I make this video. But I want to read this post that I saw on social media, and I'm going to get into it. So here we go. So the poster said, I sat for the Certified Billing and Coding Specialist, CBCS, credentialing exam offered by the NHA on April 30th, and I passed. Since receiving notification of my pass on the exam, I've been hitting LinkedIn and Glassdoor apps practically non-stop, surveying career opportunities available to newly certified and inexperienced billing and coding graduates. Quite honestly, it's been challenging to the point of discouragement for me. There are plenty of remote work opportunities available, which is one thing I'm leaning hard towards. The issue is that I'm seldomly seeing entry-level opportunities or opportunities not requiring a HEMA or AAPC credentials and multiple years of experience. Is this going to be a dominant trend? What is it that I can do to bring into focus the skill set that I have learned in the program and the skill set I bring with me from previous work experience? Okay, so there's a few things going on here. Now, with the fact that they have the CBCS. Now, when you look in the job listings and you're looking for medical coders, they are often looking for people to be credentialed with a HEMA or AAPC. This is because they have a long-standing history in the industry for how they administer their exams. You have to use the books, the ICD-10-CM, the CPT, the HCPCS, or ICD-10-PCS if that's required for your exam. Up until a few years ago, and I don't remember if it was 2020 or 2021, the CBCS did not require you to use books. It was a memorization exam. So what does that say? This says that the person who's taking the CBCS exam is somebody who memorized basically billing things, a lot of billing things, a lot of basic things, but not really using their book. Nowadays, to take the CBCS, you do have to have your books with you, the ICD-10-CM, the CPT, the HCPCS, that kind of thing. So I guess they're trying to raise the expectations of the people who have that certification, or that certificate rather. But here's the thing. This is because when they started, they did not require books, and it's a memorization test. And to them in the industry, it was not a sign of competence if somebody had that when it came to applying codes, maybe with billing. But when it came to applying codes and applying all those rules and things like that, they said, well, people who have the CBCS is just a multiple choice test, and there's really no way to gauge what they know about coding. Now, if this hurts your feelings, there's nothing that I can do about that. This is an industry fact. This person said it as well, that they're not seeing people ask for this certification. So if you find yourself with this certification, the best thing that you can do is, yes, go, by all means, go ahead and continue to apply for jobs. But here's the thing. They may treat you like somebody who is not certified through AHIMA or APC, obviously, but they may treat that as, okay, you're not certified yet. We'll go ahead and hire you on for a year or whatever. We'll give you a year or 6 months sometimes to get your certification with AHIMA or APC. The good news is you already have had a test now where you're using your book and things like that when you take that CBCS. You can go ahead and sit for AHIMA or AAPC. Either one of these is fine. There is not one that is easier than the other, although I will say the most advanced medical coding certification is the CCS, and that is the gold standard because it is advanced. This is the mastery. This says you have mastered inpatient coding and outpatient coding. And I've got plenty of videos that I don't have to go through it all over again. But just so you know, that is an option out there. None of the 4 main medical coding certifications, the CCS, the CCA, the CCSP, or the CPC, none of these 4 offered with AHIMA or AAPC requires you to go through a formal program. So you can study on your own in order to sit for these either one of these exams. Now, depending on which association you're going through, and if you have a membership or you don't have a membership, these tests run between $400 and $600. So, and then you have to keep in mind that AAPC does require you to be a member. So I think that's why I'm adding on the other. But you have to look at the association that you want to go through. Are you disappointed that you have to get another certification because you didn't know? It's something that you didn't know. But that is why you have to know when you are getting into medical billing and coding, it is all about your research. There's going to be a lot of people out there, especially with the schools, that will talk like they know, and sometimes they do not. Sometimes they are trying to sell a program, and that's really what they're after. So you have to be aware of that. Not everybody who smiles to your face is your friend. Not everybody who is, oh, well, we're here in the school. Not everybody has your best interests at heart. You have to make sure that you are doing your research on your own to verify what is it that the industry is looking for. And when you're looking at these job listings and you see, okay, yes, they must have multiple years of experience, ignore that when it comes to the coding part. Why? Because all employers are going to ask for multiple years of experience. Why? Because employers are inherently lazy. They do not want to have to train you. And they say if you are already certified, that you should be competent enough to know what you're doing. Now, before you let this overwhelm you and you think, well, Blue, no, they told me that I would be getting on-the-job training. Again, another selling tactic for the school. But think about this. When you are out there and you're trying to apply for these jobs, why do they want people to have experience? Because they want them to be, hit the ground running and be able to do all these things. Yes, as a new person, you will have time to build up your speed. Typically, it is 3 months. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a little bit less than that. And sometimes it's more than that. It really all depends on the employer. But they say when you have your certification that you should be competent enough. They want experienced people because they think that they will already be competent. But I have seen many people who have many years of experience who do not continue to expand their knowledge base, and they also don't have as much knowledge as somebody who's brand new and who has been studying and who has been reading the coding guidelines and doing all of those things to make themselves a prepared medical coder. There is a difference, guys. So ignore the fact that they say that they want all these years of experience, because you're going to go ahead and you're going to apply anyway. And I've told you guys time and time again, the resume means a big deal. The resume is a huge deal. If you don't take this seriously, that's why you will get rejected. Your resume should be on one page. One, no more than 2 pages. It should not go more than 10 years back from your work history. If they need more time than that for your work history, then you need to say, oh, okay, well, I did this, I did this, I did this. But this resume is your introduction. That's why it should be on one page, okay? And it should not be filled if you had the same type of job. Say you've been a cashier for the last 10 years and maybe you worked 3 jobs. Do not list the same things for those 3 jobs, even though it was probably around the same thing that you did at the other job or the other job or the other job. Make sure that you put something new for every single thing, okay? And I don't want to see people who have big old paragraphs. Paragraphs are ugly and disorganized on resumes when it comes to what you did at your job, okay? The only paragraph you should see is in your professional objective, not professional summary. And I don't want to hear it from people who say, well, I don't need that, rah, rah, rah. I'm a professional resume writer. I know. And people get jobs with the resumes that I write. So the reason that I say you need a professional objective is because I don't want to see as a person who's hiring that, oh, it's just your name at the top. Okay, well, what certification do you have? I shouldn't have to do an Easter egg hunt to find out what certification you have. You need to tell me right away, what is your name and what is your comma, what is your credential? Okay, so that way, okay, I know what I'm looking at here. The professional objective says, what are you there for? What job are you applying for? Because if you're just applying and say you've been a nurse and you say, okay, I did all these nursing things, I don't care that you could set up lines. I want to know as a hiring manager, if I'm hiring you to be a coder, did you document anything? Did you select any codes? Did you do any of those things? That's what I need to know. I don't need to know about line setup. Okay? And if you have worked at a daycare, I don't need to know that you were what is it? What do they do with a daycare? There was one example that I wanted to say. But with the daycare, I don't need to know that you sat there and you sang songs with them. Okay? I don't need to know that. What I do need to know is that you paid attention to their allergies, right? I need to know that you paid attention to their allergies because children have allergies like with, peanuts or anything like that. So that you paid attention to their allergies, that you asked about certain things that they need for learning or whatever. That's what I need to know because that shows me detail, right? And again, with a nurse who gets her certification, okay, then what did you do that you can transfer over? Okay, so that's why I say only 10 years back and do your jobs in bullet points, in bullet form. Okay, so that way at least they can see it and it looks clean. All right. And then you have to list your skills. And I don't want to hear, well, I've never been a coder, so I'm not going to list those ICD-10-CM. That's the worst thing that you can do because that is your skill. It is your skill to be able to get out there like that because you've been trained in ICD-10-CM, CPT, HCPCS. So those need to go on there. If you're only putting ICD-10, I'm immediately rejecting your resume. As a hiring manager, I'm immediately rejecting it because you are not specific enough to tell me ICD-10-CM or ICD-10-PCS or both. And I do not want to see ICD-10-CM/PCS because that tells me that you're lazy. These are 2 different coding systems that need to be on 2 different lines, not the same line. Okay, so that's something that you also have to know. The other thing that I want to talk about here is the fact that they say, well, I've been, checking out LinkedIn and Glassdoor practically nonstop looking for jobs. Well, that's your first mistake because you shouldn't be dependent upon these 2 websites. You need to look at the hospitals or the facilities in your area, and you need to go directly to their website, and you need to see their career opportunities so that way you can apply directly with them. Because what a lot of people will tell me is that, oh, Blue, on LinkedIn or Glassdoor or whatever, that it says if you don't have all these years of experience that you can't apply. Okay, so that's just their platform that says that. So that's why you got to go. Because not all platforms are the same, and not all platforms are going to ask you that either. So that's why I'm telling you, don't be so focused only on one thing that you think that that's the way that it needs to be. No, because that's not how people find their first jobs in coding, okay? But if you find yourself with this CBCS, study on your own, get the workbooks, continue to practice with your coding books, and take either a certification with AHIMA or AAPC. Go through my my videos so that you can figure out which one you want to go through, because a lot of people will ask me, well, which one should I take? I don't know your learning background. I don't know if you learned inpatient coding or outpatient coding, or if you learned both. I don't know, and I don't know where you want to work. So that's why I say you got to do your research. But don't give up just because you have this CBCS and you think, oh well, I can't get coding jobs or whatever. You can, but they may ask you to get your certification with AHIMA or AAPC. Okay, and that's just because that's just the way that these things work in the coding world when you are out there and you're looking for jobs. Okay, because that's when these employers, when they see what certification you have, if they understand the certifications, they will know exactly who or what association that you're certified under, what their standards are. Okay, and again, because CBCS, they had that upgrade to now having to use books, then maybe that'll change later on down the line. But I'm telling you, if you want to be taken seriously as a medical coding candidate, medical biller and coder candidate, you need to get one of those certifications, because as this person discovered, it's like, well, wait a second, I got this certification, what do I do now? You keep moving forward and you keep trying to strive to get those, get a certification that is other than the CBCS. Okay, that is my biggest bit of advice. And the other thing that I want to talk about before I close this video out is this person says that they are really leaning hard towards coding remotely. This is a big mistake that I see a lot of new people make, is that you have this perfect ideal of what you want to do and the way that you want to do it. And for some people, they get it. They do end up getting their first job remotely. And oh, Blue, I'm doing just fine. You know, I'm working. I'm doing a HCC coding job, and that's only diagnosis coding. And little do they know that sometimes those working only in a HCC job does not count as experience to some employers. I've seen it in the job listings. But that aside, I want to say this: if you are insisting on working at home right away for whatever reason, it doesn't matter the reasoning, okay guys? So please spare your comment because it doesn't matter. It does not matter to these employers. The reason that it is getting harder for new people to work at home, work remotely, is because before the pandemic, if you did not have experience, you were not working at home. And there's a lot of responsibility to working at home when it comes to private and protected health information. This is not something that you can take lightly. You need to be in a secure space, and secure meaning that your computer screen is facing a wall so that no one can come up behind you. Even if you have children, and these children are teenagers, okay? And let me say this before any of you comments anything ugly. If you have teenagers and they come up behind you and they can see your screen, that's a HIPAA violation. Why? Because even though, yes, they're minors and you know, it's just, what do they know? You don't know who that kid knows and what they're seeing on that screen. Would you like it if your protected health information was being viewed willy-nilly because the person said, oh, it's my kid, it doesn't matter? You don't know who your kid knows. And you don't know what they're reading and what they could be sharing out there on social media. And this person says, well, for Pete's sake, this is just a kid, blah, blah, blah. Then you clearly don't understand the protectiveness that we need. And even when you are in an office, right, you don't see family members back there roaming around willy-nilly looking at people's screens. Why? Because this is all protected health information. These HIPAA violations are taken very seriously, and it could be a career ender, period. Okay? So if you're going to insist on working at home and you have children, you need to make sure that these screens are going to be protected at all times from prying eyes. Period. There is no excuse for it. And if you don't understand that and you still take it offensively, this field is probably not for you. Okay. The other thing is this. You have to have a secure internet connection. Some people erroneously think, oh yes, well I can get the laptop and I can go down by the beach. Again, not securing the information. Do not do this. Don't do this. And no, you can't travel around and connect to Wi-Fi and do all these things, because again, that's an unsecure line that it can make it real easy for people to hack in. Think about that. And there's been many horror stories where people think that they're above any of these rules. And the one lady who didn't want to put in for vacation took her laptop down to a resort in Mexico, and that IT department was on the phone with her saying, where are you? Our equipment is not showing up where it's supposed to be. Oh, I'm at home. No, you're not, because you're connected to a Wi-Fi IP address. We need you to shut your computer down and get home soon as possible because we need our equipment back. And she got fired. Do you want that? No. So again, don't do this with a willy-nilly mindset. Oh yeah, I can work at home. It doesn't matter what the recruiters told you, because they're trying to sell a program. Okay? Keep that in mind. Remember that. And that's the thing that you have to know about working at home. And then finally, about working at home and you're brand new. All of these scenarios that you get from the books, they're going to have everything that you need, all the information. They're going to have the left, the right. It's going to be clear documentation, and all you have to do is just code it. When you get into the real world, guess what? You're going to find some of these providers, they're not going to want to document today. You're going to get whatever they give you. And so sometimes you're going to have to go through a little bit more, take a little bit more time to go through and look at all of these things. And then you may have to send a query, or you may not know how to code in this type of scenario because this is a complex and weird scenario. So now you got to ask somebody. So what are you going to do? Call that person on Teams, or are you going to send a message? Do you think that those people are going to want to sit here and answer your questions all day because you don't know how to code because this is your first job? Do you think that that's going to matter to them? No. So that's why I always tell you guys, when you are out there and you're looking for your first job, find a place where you can go, even if it's just for a few months, okay? A few months is not going to hurt you, guys. It's not going to hurt you to work at a place for a few months so you can be around those coders, so you can get that one-on-one mentorship, because sometimes it's not always the easiest thing to formulate the question. Because when you're brand new, sometimes you don't know, and then you're looking at these things and you may not see something, and a veteran coder will see it. So that's something else that you got to keep in mind, all right? So that's just what I'm going to say. And I say these things, again, so that you all are prepared. If you have the CBCS, try to study on your own so you can get one of the other 4 main medical coding certifications, so that they can take you seriously when you're out there looking for a job. And if you are offended because I have said these things about the CBCS, you clearly don't know and you clearly don't understand. Because when I'm looking at these job listings and I see time and time and time and time again that this is what they're looking for, a HEMO or APC, that's the message that I'm always going to bring out. And I have no problem talking about other things that are good for coders or that the industry is looking for. I have no problem with that. If they were asking for that more often, I would obviously recommend it. But I do not see that. When I am looking at job listings, because I look at job listings because when I'm doing these shows, I need to make sure that I know what they're looking for out there. And the only time I've seen this is because the CBCS asked for, it was like, it's some weird, it was just weird listings. And sometimes it was a very, very few and far in between. And maybe it was for like a law office. And that was it. And only because they really don't know. Or maybe the person that is there, that's all they know. Okay? So it really all depends. But that's just my advice anyway, guys. So If you have the CBCS, try to get an additional certification through AHEMA or AAPC. If you've gone through the program, if you have that fundamental understanding, you can certainly go and look at the domains for the other 4 exams and see which one would fit you best. And so that way you can get to studying for that and take that certification, so that way you can really be out there and you can be applying. But make sure you're arming yourself with a good resume, a good cover letter. And a cover letter is not a regurgitation of everything on your resume. A cover letter is talking about what you personally can bring to this organization. It is very brief, no more than 3 paragraphs, okay? A beginning, a middle, and an ending. Okay, so that's what you want to do when you're out there looking for a job. But best of luck to you guys, and just make sure that you keep in mind that you have to do your research. If this person had done their research beforehand, it would have saved them a lot of heartache right now. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.